domesticate us like fucking sheep, you know, and make us just obey and just do everything they want. Never talk about them, never tell people who they are, never mention them. Always blame somebody else, blame some weak person or some black person or some immigrant or some, I don't know, somebody else, but never the rich fuckers.
Right.
So
The
they're
rich
scared.
pricks.
The
Yeah.
rich pricks, and they're scared. People are scared, and it's like, why are you scared? You have all the power, you have all the cards, you have God in your corner. What are you scared of? Because you know what? People don't have enough faith. That's why. They just
Mm-hmm.
don't. They just don't. They might say they do, but they don't. The ones that say they do really don't. The ones that tell you all about how Christian they are, they're the ones that don't have any fucking nothing. They got nothing. Because
Yeah.
it's not, you know, it's you don't want to tell the right hand what the left hand's doing. You know, like if you're doing good deeds, you don't want to advertise. You don't want to tell everybody how great you are, right? So those are the people you got to watch, man. They're all in bed with Mossad, Israel, and they're bombing the shit out of brown people. Oh, imagine that. So
Right.
I don't know. This is how,
Well,
yeah. What?
if you don't mind, I'm gonna just give you some credit. I'm everybody. So I don't know if you know. I'm just gonna read a little bit of his bio. But Dean is a world-renowned political analyst. He's a historian. He's the author of 7 books, including a bestseller, "Big Oil and Their Bankers in the Persian Gulf." He has had blogs with millions of views. Even with threats of harassment, you never wavered from this lifelong commitment, revealing evils, as you said. You earned a bachelor's degree from University of South Dakota and a master's degree from the University of Montana. Columnist in the Montana, is it Cayman? Like your resume is phenomenal, which I think
Yeah.
what I trying to get the point here is this man knows what he's talking about. So this conversation is going to be rather interesting. Please, everybody, the point of being here is to ask questions. But I think, Dean, if you can kind of go over, and Kimberly, I'm going to let you take over with questions here, but if you can kind of go over what you talked about in your summit interview, in, you know, I don't know, we got an hour, so let's kind of go over what you talked about, what your thoughts are, maybe what's happening now in our world, as we gather some questions from those who are joining. We'll probably see more people joining over the next 10 minutes, but is that okay? Does that sound all right?
Great. That's great.
All right.
I mean,
I'll be quiet now.
yeah. Okay. So it's pretty much like, you know, just tracking down bad guys and, yeah, I mean, it started out a master's thesis, and now it's progressed into more research, and yeah, I come to find out, you know, it looks to me like anyway, it's really what happened is like 8,500 years ago, these Anunnaki came here, and because they couldn't get along wherever they were at, that people ran them out probably. They're just, you know, they're not from here. They're not like us. They sort of they seem to be parasitic. They seem to want other people to do work for them and sort of do everything for them. And they must anyway. So they came into Samaria. This is according to the Sumerian clay tablets, you know, the cuneiform tablets, and talk about how they push people into agriculture, force people into agriculture, which, you know, I studied a lot of anthropology at college and everything, and people always wondered, like, why did man move into agriculture? Is the stupidest thing and woman could have ever done, because it's just more work. And I know, because I've farmed and I grew up on a farm, and it's just endless amount of work. And I farmed and I farmed until I was like 55 years old, by the way. I mean, I'm 60 now, turned 60 2 days ago.
Happy
And,
birthday.
thank you.
Yeah.
Had made it to 60. I never thought I would. Amazing, really. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've ever done my whole life is farm, you know, and it's really hard work. So now the reason I did it after you know, obviously I did it when I was a kid because my family did it. But the reason I kept doing it was because it was the next best thing, you know, you could do is just grow some food, burn some wood, gather some blackberries, you know, put them in the freezer, and live like that, and try to stay away from this evil system that the Anunnaki have control of. So if you go to work in a job, chances are you're a slave to the Anunnaki. I mean, there's very few jobs that aren't involved in that. And if you buy anything at the big box, at least, but really anywhere, you're buying stuff from them, you know. So the best thing people can do is not buy very much and not work very much. Okay.
Yeah.
Except for yourself. Now, if you're going to do that, you have to be you can't be lazy, man. I mean,
Right.
when I say don't work, don't take that to be lazy. That just means, oh, the kitty's nice. But you're going to have to really learn how to not be lazy. Okay. Is what you're going to have to do, because it's hard work to working for yourself. It's hard work getting out of the system. It's hard work, having the integrity and having to turn your back on what they're telling you to do. They're telling everybody, do this, think this way, act this way, live this way, shop this way,
Pay your taxes.
pay your taxes, all this enslavement mantra, and everybody just does it. And so, you can learn all about the royal families if you want. I can tell you all about them, their names, everything. I can tell you where they came from. I can tell you a lot of things about them throughout history, and I will. I'll be glad to. But really, the bottom line is people need to just quit being slaves.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
Man,
Who's in modern day? Like, we're gonna, fast forward. Who are the main 5 families controlling the globe today? Basically.
Well, yeah, good question. Very good question. I mean, it's really, again, it's just, thing to remember is it's one family with different names. And, people have always said, well, like Fritz Springmeier in his book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati, excellent book, threw him in jail, trumped up charges on taxes. Springmeier said there was 13 families, and I've heard other people say there's 7 families and different names. Everybody's got different. I'm just going to tell you, there's one family, okay? There's one bloodline. And the reason I know this is true is because on CNN, after the Queen died, at her funeral, they were covering it on CNN, and some guy from Burke's Peerage was on there, and they asked him straight up, are all these royal families in Europe related? And he said, yes. So you have it. So you might be named Habsburg, you might be named Bourbon, you might be named Rothschild, you might be named Plantagenet, you might be named Tudor, you might be named Vici, which is the Norwegian Arala, the bloodline, the Ralas. You might be named Shah or Pallavicini or Elgobrandini, or you might be named Singh, which every Sikh in the world is named Singh, and they're part of it. You might be named Li. It's the most common surname in China, Li, and this is also the family that controlled the Tang dynasty. It's the family that is the richest family in China nowadays. And the Yamamotos are part of it in Japan. And there's all these families. They're not all white. They're not all, this whole idea that there's a race war is just something they make up to keep us at each other's throats. They control every single race. They come from every single race. It's not a race thing, even though at the very top, the Habsburgs and the inbreds want to make it about it. They want to make it about race, because it's all, to them, it's about blood. It's beyond race. It's about what kind of blood you have. So they do think the whites are supremo, the Aryans and that, but it's because of the blood they have, and the Rh negative blood that they have. So those families are all very prominent. But again, the important thing I think to remember is, in my research anyway, there's one family, there's one bloodline, and these are all hybrid Anunnakis. These are not humans. Okay, so people wonder why bad things happen. You want to talk about who's in charge today, who the bloodlines are running today? Well, obviously it's Israel. Yeah. Obviously, because Israel is the old they're not Jews, they're Satanists, they're Babylonians. These are the Babylonians who ran the original Israelites out of Israel. These were God's chosen people. They're black, they're from Ethiopia. Okay, they live in Ethiopia now. They got thrown out. Ethiopia has never been colonized. I don't know if people know that. It's one of the 2 countries in the world that's never been colonized by kings and queens ever. And Thailand's the other one. Well, I shouldn't say that to kings and queens. I should say outside, like European kings and queens, because Thailand does have a king, and he's probably part of it. But Ethiopia is an interesting place. It's where the Coptic Christian Bible is. Okay, it's if you want to read a good Bible, if you want to read the real history, if you want to read about giants eating people, if you want to read about what actually happened, what people knew happened, the Gnostics knew, the evil in this world that's always been here. Read that book. Read the Coptic Christian Bible. But the Israelites are in Ethiopia. The people in Israel are Ashkenazi Jews. They're Ashkenazi Jews. In other words, they're the same as the Nazis. They are the Nazis. They created the Holocaust. And now and then they cry about how they got exterminated. Well, they did the exterminating, and they're doing it again, obviously.
Yes.
So the devil just lies, and these Babylonians, they're just, everything they say is a lie. So they're going to tell you, oh, we target nuclear stuff, and they targeted civilians. Fuck you, man. The first thing you hit in Iran was an apartment building with 90 people died. Just shut your fucking mouth, man.
Yeah.
Lying piece of shits. But they're being run by the city of London. It's not a Jewish homeland. It has nothing to do with Jews. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with anything. It just has to do with evil. And it has to do with the city of London, the crown, these families I'm talking about. They want to control the oil. So if you're going to control the oil, obviously you have to set up an outpost in the Middle East to control the oil, because that's where the oil's at.
Mm-hmm.
And Saudi Arabia is the other place the oil's at. And not just Saudi Arabia, but the Gulf Cooperation Council, which is something Ronald Reagan helped set up in 1984. And it's Saudi Arabia, it's Oman, it's Qatar, it's Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, and those countries. So 42% of the world's oil sits beneath those countries on the southwest side of the Persian Gulf. And so those countries play the same role as the Israelis. It's the exact same role that they play. They just pretend to support the Palestinians, but they don't. They don't at all. They're going to sign the Abraham Accords. That's why Hamas did what it did on October 7th of last year, because the Saudis and the Israelis were just about to sign the Abraham Accords and make peace, which, they might as well, because they've always been covert friends. And this is just coming out in the open. This is what's going on in this world right now. The satanic, Luciferian, Freemasonic shitheads are coming out in the open, and they're saying, here we are, we believe in the devil, and please join our cult. And $9.95 gets you a package or whatever. And it's just they're coming out of the closet, they're telling you who they are, people are getting taken in left and right. So I feel like the world's becoming more evil, because a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, that sounds great, I'll take all your perks and benefits and become a Freemason and a Satanist. And so you wonder why people are just falling down, hitting their heads on stuff right now. You wonder why. You better be careful, because man, the devil's on the loose in the world. You can feel it. You can feel the evil like all around you, can't you? I mean, it's just everywhere. And it's like, it's okay. There's people like us who are resisting it. And that's there's no other choice for me, for you guys, because we have the integrity. We know what's going on, but there's so many people that are being taken in by it. And that's the whole game right now, is to basically ensnare people in the internet, ensnare people in the World Wide Web, and just pretty much push them into this sieve. It's like a hive mind singularity. You push people into believing and saying and talking the same way. Everyone talks the same way. If I hear one more person say 100%, I'm gonna fucking kill them. I'm just gonna fucking kill them. There's so many things like that. You think about how many things. Just think about how everybody sounds the same.
That's because they're mind controlled. They don't have
mind control.
Yeah, they don't have an opinion of their own, because they're watching zombie news.
Yeah.
It's called television for a reason, just like it's called the World Wide Web for a reason, just like it's called the internet.
Yep. A program, a TV program. Oh, it's a program, all right. They're running a program on you. Every time you watch a TV program, they're running a program on you.
Correct.
But if you don't know that, you're just going to become whatever they tell you to become. You're going to become evil, because that's the game right now. The game is to turn you into evil, turn everybody into evil. And the only people that will not go with it, will not be turned into evil, are the people that believe in God and really believe in God. And they're going to be hated and reviled by their family, by their friends, by everybody they know, because they're just different. All of a sudden, they're just different. Oh, you don't think what everybody else thinks? Oh, you're bad. And it's going to be hard to live. It's going to be hard to live, with people. So I would advise one thing is just become a hermit. And sadly, it's kind of true, but great when we can talk to people who are like-minded, but it's rare.
I agree. And I think I'm on a little more optimistic side, because I think there are some people waking up, but there are some people that I talk to that I'm like, you are not free. You are not a free patriot if you follow this bullshit. I will not take a knee, and you shouldn't take a knee either. and you shouldn't jab your kids with this vaccine schedule. And they look at me like they're lost, like there's no one home. Like I look into their eyes and it looks like they have no soul.
No, I know. There's a lot of lost people. It's scary that nobody can make a decision. Nobody can even make simple decisions about anything anymore because they're fried. They're always on a screen. If it's a phone, if it's a tablet, if it's a TV, I don't care what, but they're always on a screen constantly, and the mind is being literally scrambled with too much information. That's why Alvin Toffler wrote the book Future Shock, because that he was telling us what was coming. This is before the internet. He wrote that book right before the internet came out, like early 90s. The internet came out in 95. The internet's only been here 30 years.
Yeah.
Realize that? It's only been here 30 years. And look at the damage. I mean, we can sit here and pretend we're doing good here, and okay, maybe we are. Fine. Okay, great. No, we're trying. We're doing our best. I shouldn't say maybe. We are. But come on, man. It's like 30 years, and look what's happened to people. And I can't explain it any other way. Like, okay, yeah, the jabs a little bit. Okay, I don't know, some other stuff. But what's been here for 30 fucking years? What's been here for 30 years? Only 30 years, but 30 years. And what?
Yep.
And how many years have you felt like this is just like spiraling downward?
Yeah.
It's about 30 years probably. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not a coincidence. You know, this thing is the devil. This AI, this internet it's an Anunnaki tool for reworking you and just future shock, bombarding you with all this information. How do you do this? How do you do this? Ask Google. How do you do this? Oh, what? Oh, I don't know how to do anything anymore because Google just told me to do everything. Google's God. Google's my new God. I don't believe in God anymore, but I believe in Google because Google, that for sure will tell me the truth. I mean, really? So that's where we're at. And it's scary because you're putting all your faith in what you think is real information, but isn't even. It's all pretty inverted information, actually.
Yeah.
And they're just working people over. It's really sad. So again, another thing people should do is unhook, but they're not gonna. Nobody's gonna unhook. I don't know anybody except me I don't know anybody except me that turns their phone off every day and doesn't turn it on, and their computer every day leaves it off all fucking day.
Yeah.
I get out here, I'll do this. I get out, I'll check my messages. I'm polite. I call people back if they call me. And then they give you shit because you didn't have your fucking phone on. Like, oh, you were part of the hive mind. You didn't want to get fried like everybody else. You're bad.
Right.
You're a bad person.
Well, that's
and I'm so sick of this shit. I'm so
Yeah.
sick of it. But nobody else that I know does that. Not one other. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. My mom does it. She's 86. She doesn't even have a computer. She never got on the internet.
Yep.
She doesn't even know what the internet is. And she's a very decisive person, I might add. She might not be right about everything, but she knows what she thinks.
Yeah.
Nobody has scrambled her brain.
In my interview with Dr. Jack Cruz, he said the same thing. He said half these people don't even know how to turn their phone on airplane mode.
They don't even. They're on autopilot. They're just on autopilot, and everyone just texts and texts and texts and texts and all this texting. And every minute of the day, you have to tell people what you're doing, or if you don't, you're evil. It's like, I mean, most of what I'm seeing is straight out of like some Catholic. I grew up Catholic, and most of what I'm seeing is like straight out of like the worst part of the Catholic Church, where you're supposed to feel bad if you don't plug into all this stuff. You feel guilty.
Yeah,
but
that's part of it.
A lot of shame. And it's like, oh wait, I see this before at Catholic Church, but this time it's coming from the Freemasons, and they're even worse because they're out to kill all of us, and they're out to turn us all into satanic, people. And they're playing for keeps. They're not, the Catholic Church fell into their orbit for a while, yeah, and parts of it still are. Knights of Malta, that's what part, not the Jesuits. That's another lie. That's just a huge lie because the Jesuits are the only decent part of that church, and that's why the last pope was pretty decent. And hopefully this guy will be too. He's the first Jesuit pope we ever had. He was halfway decent. I mean, he really was. And it's all just, so. That's where we're at, and the Israelis are leading the charge to this, bringing this hell onto the earth is what it literally is. What's going on? Literally is what's going on. And I think when there's enough evil, when the evil permeates the earth, when they have enough of a majority of people who do their work for them, that's probably when we're gonna get some other visitors.
Yeah.
And,
but
go ahead.
One thing to recognize is I, in my entire lifetime, when I look at the news, have never seen the American flag next to an Israeli flag. And I see them on the screen together, and I've never seen that before.
Mhm.
And we're sending funding over to Israel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then, this morning, Tulsi Gabbard, who I kind of like, I'm a lefty. Okay. I like Kennedy. I like Gabbard. That's who I like in the Trump administration. I gave him credit for appointing those people because they don't think like they're not Trump. Kennedy's not Trump, and neither is Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard this morning delivered a Senate hearing, that the fact that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, that they're nowhere close to it. So in other words, Israel fucking lied. Oh, imagine that.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
There's
no justification. You can't just go bombing a country because you think it has this or you think it has that. It's like going out and murdering a family because you thought that family might look at you funny in your car. And I had to do it. I'm so scared. And it's all fear because they're scared shitless. These creatures, these things, these whatever they are scared shitless of this planet, of us, of themselves, of humanity, of nature, of all the good things. Because you know why? Because they know it's more powerful than they are. And they know they're going against it. And they know they're wrong. Deep down, they know they're wrong even. But it doesn't matter because Trump's not going to listen to her. He's like, oh, whatever. I don't care what she says. It's kind of what he said. He said, I don't care what she says.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what my national security advisor says. I'm just going to go along with Israel because I'm Donald Trump. And I'm a little punk ass little fucking bitch for Israel. That's what I am.
He is.
A big
like
red-haired, orange-haired fat fuck with a fucking bride that was a sex slave out of fucking Slovenia. And that was what he got for doing the bidding of the Rothschilds. And then he got in debt to the Rothschilds with Taj Mahal when they bailed him out. Wilbur Ross, his commerce secretary first time around, was the bond trader at Rothschild Inc. that bailed him out. And he's beholden to them, obviously.
Yeah.
Jared Kushner, all these people. Trump's a total phony. He's a total. No, I gave him a chance. And that because that's what I do. I give people a chance. And I thought, okay, let's see what you got the second time around. You pointed some different people. Kennedy.
Well, he was saying all the right things, but he hasn't done shit.
Exactly, but he hasn't done shit. And so he's just a little punk. He's just a little boy, little baby boy, little
circus,
baby little fuck. Basically spoiled since he was a little in diapers and raised by wolves who disguise as rich people, which is what rich people are. They're fucking wolves, dude. They're jackals. I hope none of you had to grow up in a rich family. I feel sorry for you if you did. Because they don't care about the things that that you should care about.
Yeah.
They just don't care about. They just don't care about things that matter. They care about money and stuff. That's what they care about. Acquiring more stuff. Who cares?
And then they spew that propaganda on other people that can't afford it. So these people are out and putting themselves in debt to try to keep up with the Joneses, and they don't have that saying for no reason either. And it's a very sad materialistic overconsumption world that was built by design to be this way.
By design, and it's all satanic. It's all just satanic, every bit of that. Because you have to forego all that. Yeah, if you're really gonna live a godly life, you got to forego all that. I live in a 200 square foot apartment right now. I don't have to. I got plenty of money. I could go out buy a big old house, but I don't want to. I got everything I own will fit in a Ford Fiesta, which is what I drive because it gets 45 miles a gallon. It's a 3-cylinder. I don't own anything. I never have. But
Ian, do you mind if I ask a question? I've seen a few in other comments within the groups. So you say the revolutions are often hijacked. What do you mean by that? What does that look like, and why don't you think people see when it's happening?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's for sure. Revolutions are often hijacked. I mean, I don't know. I don't even see a revolution right now, I guess. I don't know what revolution being hijacked now because there is no revolution. All I see everywhere is counter revolution. All I see right now is everybody's moving to the right. Like, I don't see anybody moving to when I say left, I don't mean stroke a tranny on the head, make yourself feel better, or patronize a woman or a black person. I don't mean that. That's not the left. That's the fake left. Let's just get real here. The fake left was created by George Soros, was created by the Clintons, was created by the bad guys. to mislead you into what the left is. The left is, I'm talking about Ho Chi Minh, I'm talking about Fidel Castro, I'm talking about Hugo Chavez, I'm talking about people who give rich people a hard time, expropriate their property and give it to poor people. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay. What I see now is there's nothing in the West even close to a revolution. I mean, there is in Africa. There still is Marxist governments in Africa. That's why Trump put like 40 African countries on the no travel list to the US. It's not because they're terrorists. It's not because they're, bad people. It's because they're leftists. They're real leftists. God forbid, they'd come here and tell people what's going on in the world and how these corporations are screwing them over and always have. Now they're going to take their property and send them packing like Hershey's in Ghana. See you later. I mean, this is the left. This is the revolution that needs to happen. This is what's not happening. So I don't even know. Okay, yeah, it's true they get hijacked. Every time they did in the 60s. You look at the 60s. What happened was the free speech movement out of Berkeley. That was the first thing that happened. Mario Salvo and those guys, and they were all like a bunch of suits and short hairs and just nerds. And they went out and said, "Look, man, we're going to defend free speech because these guys are going to war in Vietnam and things are going to get dicey." And the next thing you know, man, the hippies sprang up, and that was a British intelligence operation to destroy the real left. That was kind of emerging, and that AIM was part of that. American Indian Movement was part of that. Good, really good bunch of people, man, right there. Black Panthers were part of that. Really good bunch of people right there. What they do, they went out and killed them all. The FBI went out and assassinated a bunch of them, killed them all. And they leave us with the hippies. And we're supposed to think the hippies are the left. Well, that's kind of what's going on today. That's continued because it's worked. Because it's a Tavistock Institute project that worked. And what they're talking about is nothing to do with, going after the rich or, dividing Ted Turner's ranch into 20-acre parcels and actually, giving it to people that could use it, no interest loan, whatever it is. You set it up however you want. You can make it work. Yeah. They're not talking about that. They're just talking about, I don't even know what they're talking about. I don't care what they're talking about. It's garbage. I'll guarantee you everything that they talk about is garbage. And it has nothing to do with revolution. And it has nothing to do with the left. It has nothing to do with helping people. And mostly it has to do with just self-gratification. Drugs and free love and just whatever, stupid shit. It's just distracting people away from the real mission here, which is to have a revolution where, there's that. Oh, half of the people in this country don't own as much wealth as the bottom, whatever, 95, 98, whatever it is, 98%, which is true, which we've never lived in a world where the rich have been any more powerful than right now since at least the late 1800s, the robber baron age. And never. And so what are we doing talking about all these other things? Why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we talking about class? I'll tell you why. Because the woke movement, which is funded by BlackRock and the Crown, because BlackRock is owned by the Crown, these families I just mentioned, that's who owns BlackRock. That's who owns Vanguard, which is private, which owns all of BlackRock and is private. Therefore, you can't investigate who owns Vanguard because they don't file paperwork with the SEC because they're private. Well, Vanguard of what? Vanguard of the oligarchy. And that's who owns everything. So they sponsored the woke movement. And again, it's a fake left. It's a fake left. So you have Fox News idiots. Oh, the radical left going after. No, they're not. There's no radical left in this country. There is no radical left in this country. If there was, you would know about it. I mean, the kid that assassinated the United Healthcare executive, that's about as close as you get. And that's about all we got, Kaczynski. I mean, that's about, we've had for decades now, because every time we tried to organize something, it got infiltrated. Believe me, I used to organize things and it gets infiltrated. So it's a bad model. You can't even do that. You have to be an anarchist. You have to be a lone wolf. That's what that kid did. Good for him. I applaud him. Enough said. But, that's the real left. That's a real left solution right there. A healthcare company denies coverage for millions of people, makes people suffer, makes people die because of his fucking greed.
Yeah. So
Dr. You go plug the guy. That's what you do. That's what the real left does. Okay. But there's no real left in America. And anybody outside this country who's real left, like Iran, like Venezuela, like Cuba, like Nicaragua, where do you think all the immigrants are coming from? Those last three countries. It's always been that way. Every time we have an enemy, every time there's a revolution, and then we invite the rich, like millionaire class into our country. And they're the ones that run the drugs. They were the ones that we invited in Iran. 1979, when the revolution happened, after the CIA overthrew Mossadegh in Iran, 1953, because he nationalized British petroleum assets. The real left nationalized British petroleum assets, made it Iranian National Oil Company, INOC, which it is still today, which they hate. This is why they hate Iran. They hate Iran because Iran has an oil company where the profits actually go to the people of Iran because it's owned by the state. Kind of like Norway. Yeah, that evil, radical country of Norway. Ooh, with so scary with their state oil. It's called fucking state oil. Learn shit, just learn some shit. People are stupid. They don't fucking know shit.
Yeah.
Okay?
So
That's the first thing you need to know.
So I was watching this thing on Dr. Robert Duncan, and their whole goal for a really long time has been taking out the middle class. And they have thus far successfully destroyed many middle class Americans to where they create the slaves, because then they're going to take the money, just like you said, because they don't have a choice.
Yeah, the crown needs an underclass. Okay, they have to have an underclass of poor people. Yeah, because they need slaves. Why do you think they let the immigrants in? I mean, people just think it's just a coincidence or some kind of invasion or scary invasion. No, it's because the meat packing plants in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I live, start at $16 an hour. $16 an hour to go into the most dangerous job on the planet. And guess what? They ran out of workers, so they had to open the borders. You understand?
Yeah, that's
what they need. They need an underclass. And this was at a time of COVID when inflation was creeping. They don't care about any inflation except wages. That's what they care about. When the working man starts getting a decent wage, they freak out. And that's when they open the border. And what happened to this big thing where people were getting paid really good? Remember that a couple of years ago when you could go to Walmart and get $20 an hour? Not anymore. Ding dong. Synopsis. Put it together, people. It's because the immigrants, they let them in. So rather than hate the immigrants or hate brown people or hate whatever, how about hate Smithfield Farms in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is owned by the Chinese government, by the way? Yeah. How about hate Walmart? How about hate fucking Walmart because they run the whole Chinese enslavement trade? They're probably the ones who send this fentanyl into Mexico. How about having some balls, man? How about, I got an idea. I got a novel idea. How about grow a pair and let's have a revolution and let's have people that are free again and aren't hunkering down under their tables hiding.
Yeah.
The rich man who's going to come and get them. How about we go get them? Anybody want to do that?
There's only a handful of them, or a committee of 300,
that hard,
300 of them.
Logistically, it's possible. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But no, first you got to pull your head out of your ass and quit blaming yourself or blaming the wrong people, blaming the poor people, blame the Democrats, blame the Republicans, blame the right wing, blame the left wing. Oh yeah, it's all their fault. Come on, man. This is a hive mind. This is bad. And that's the reason we don't talk about class, because the woke movement, it's a fake left. They will talk about anything but class. Have you noticed that? They will bring up the weirdest things and just try to divide people along. Yeah, all these little pronouns or whatever, but they will not talk about class. So who's really behind that? Who's behind I want to know who's behind this no kings thing. Because I'm like, well, that's interesting.
The government.
I like the name. Maybe we're having a little bit of an effect here. They'll never give us credit. Obviously, they never would give us credit, even if it did come from us. But I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's like, okay, you say no kings, and yet you're all out there being paid by George Soros. You have no plan. You have no agenda other than you hate Trump so bad. Where's that coming from? So, but again, it's like people turn out for that. Man, we had like 8 cities in South Dakota where they had protests. Not even cities, like these are towns, including my town here, that had one. And I'm like, how does that happen? Like, how come people won't go out and protest the right things? Like, how come people won't go out and protest fucking Israel?
They were being paid. That's why. I've seen a bunch of people
being led around by the nose by these people.
Yeah.
They're telling us what to think, what to do, everything, what to eat. What's healthy? Oh, pomegranates. So the price of pomegranates go up to $300 a barrel. I mean, really, seriously, people, that's what's going on. Oh, gee, eggs. Well, guess what? There's an egg cartel, Cargill, 50%. They own 50% of the egg trade in this country. It's the biggest corporation in the world. It's called Cargill. They own all the ships almost on the Mississippi River that transport everything. They control 50% of the grain trade in the world. The grain trade, 50%. Yeah, because they merged with Continental Grain, which was the Freeburg family, and now those two, 50% of the grain trade, whether it's rice, wheat, barley, I don't care. What does Ukraine grow? Oh, lots of barley, whole bunch of it, more than anybody actually. Why is it strategic? That's why. It's the breadbasket of the Eastern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
It's all about resources. It's all about
Control,
and it's all about, and they just lie to you. They tell you eggs went up because of bird flu. Really? Bird flu. I haven't seen any evidence of the bird flu. Have you? There was no bird flu. There was no bird flu. You understand?
I know.
And so it's like you're being lied to. Like you're being really lied to so bad you don't even realize how bad you're being lied to. And the same thing. Oh, buy a car now because the tariffs are going to increase the price of a ar. Guess what? Car prices are going down. Have you noticed? Probably not. But they are actually going down. And actually, like Nissan dropped the MSRP on a couple of its models, and Hyundai, so they're not doing that either. So car prices are going down. But by saying that, they rush people in to buy a car. See, these capitalists are pretty sophisticated nowadays because guess what? They have this thing called the internet. And all I got to do is like, click, I bought it. Oh, click, I bought a house. Oh, click, I bought a car. Oh, I don't have to look at that house. I don't even have to check it out. I'll just go buy a house. Sight unseen. And that's what these kids are doing. What do you think is causing all this inflation? Stupidity. That's what's causing the inflation because people are stupid and they believe everything they are told by the government, the media, the whatever. Oh, this is how it is. Go buy a car. Rush them into buying stuff. Rush them into this. Buy right now. Go buy it really quick. And wow, it's sad. But this is why we have inflation because nobody knows how to negotiate anymore either.
Yeah, right.
I bought a car. I would always obviously negotiate. My God, I mean, the last car I bought, they were asking $12,000. I got it for $10,500. Had 19,000 miles on it. Bought in 2020. I got a good deal. Otherwise, guess what? I'm not buying it.
Right.
And they knew that. And I wasn't kidding. And I meant it because I have dignity, because I have a soul, because I have a heart, because I have a self, because I believe in myself. I just don't feel like people believe in themselves anymore. I just feel like they're, like you said, you look in their eyes and there's no soul. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
They're out to lunch. They won't even fight for their own self. They won't even fight for their own family. They'll fight for total strangers as long as they're rich fuckers, or they'll fight for a boss or a landlord or some fucking asshole, but they won't fucking fight for their family.
Yeah.
Scary, man. It's like, so that's part of the evil. That's part of the Satanism. And it's coming. It's like, people gotta, anyway, we're look, I don't know.
We just have to keep doing what we're doing.
Yep. You bet
We got it.
You got it. And hopefully Iran just pummels Israel. I mean, that's what we gotta hope, is that Iran emerges from this by just destroying the nation of Israel and they might. Don't you think I'm not kidding. Like they have stuff we don't know about. They have stuff you don't know about Iran.
Yeah.
And they're hitting them hard right now. They're not stopping these missiles that are coming into Israel. And so it could happen. And that's where Trump is going to look like, he's already an idiot, but that's where he's going to look like a real idiot, man, if he stands behind Israel and then end up getting defeated. Guess who has the oil out of those two countries? Oh, Iran has the oil.
Yeah. Yeah. He said that.
So that's really not very smart, is it? You have an oil shortage and you go and attack one of the biggest oil producers in the world. And now Israel's like bombing their oil facilities. Yeah, that's awesome. So the price of oil went from $60 last week to like 75 right now. And you can see gas prices go back up. And you can see everything go back up. These are doubles, man. We're dealing with doubles here. I'm telling you. And the only thing to do with doubles is just you take Michael's sword and you wipe them from the face of the earth.
Yep.
That's all. I've come to that conclusion. There's nothing else to do with these people. You can put them in jail, you can whatever, but they're not people for one thing. They're not human. They don't think like we do. They'll kill babies. They've killed 30,000 Palestinian babies already.
Yep.
Look what Ukraine's doing. Look what the devils in the city of London. And that's who's back in Ukraine right now more than anybody. That's who always did was the city of London, MI6, plan these drone attacks where they go into Russia and destroy their bombers. And And then they say, oh, Russia's not ready to negotiate. Okay, just like that, like they say, like Iran, like Trump said yesterday, Iran should negotiate. Hey, dumbass, they were in Qatar negotiating when they got bombed. They were in Qatar for the sixth round of these talks, and Israel bombed them. And you're telling Iran they should negotiate? They were negotiating until the rebels started bombing them and killing their families again. Russia was ready for peace until Ukraine and their City of London backers went and just bombed like half of their long-range bombers and took them out.
Yeah,
they were ready. Ukraine is not ready to negotiate. Israel obviously is not ready to negotiate. So, and Israel and Ukraine are the same. It's like the new Israel in that region. You could look at it and you could, from an old historical map, where did the Babylonians go when they left Babylon? They went to Khazar. They were Khazars. Khazar, the land of Khazar, which is like the Caucasus, which is like Ukraine. So this is a resurrection maybe of the Khazarian Empire, which was evil, which the Russians had to go to war with many, many times because the Khazarians were stealing their babies and going missing, and wives were going missing, and women were going missing, and yeah, they're just bad, and they ran
still
out
are
of it.
today.
And they're still, and that's who the Ashkenazis are. That's who they were, the Khazarians. They were the Babylonians. The Rothschilds were the Baccarats, which is interesting because that's the name of a gambling game, right? But they were the Baccarats. They ran the Silk Road slave trade on the western end, and the Li family in China ran the eastern end of that. And then they moved to Khazaria, and they were kicked out of there, and they went to Eastern Europe, and that's when they became the Bauers, and then they became the Rothschilds after they stole most of the wealth from the German House of Hesse because they worked for them.
Yeah.
And there's continuity. There's continuity again. They're coming out of the closet. They're resurrecting the old empires. I wouldn't be surprised to see like slavery, legalized again in the world. Like, yeah, I mean, because that's the kind of thing they're doing. They're just in your face. They're like, we're gonna go back to where it was like this, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to take us back to these medieval setup, but this time it's got the internet.
Yeah, and digital currency and digital IDs.
Yeah.
Do not comply, people. Do not comply.
Yeah, that's right. So it's electronic feudalism. That's what we're looking at. So it's the same feudalism as like the 16th, 15th centuries. Well, but it's got the electronic component. So it's so much better.
For control.
Yeah, but that's what they want you to think too, that they sell all this technology like it's so good for you, and that's the scariest part to me, because it's really bad for people. It's really just destroying our culture. It's destroying the world. I'm pretty sure we're all going to go down. I'm pretty sure we're not going to make it. Okay. I mean, if you had to ask me right now, I mean, it's not looking good.
Completely honest. Yeah.
Because Russia backs Iran. Oh, by the way, they said there was no justification for what Israel did, and there isn't. And they have defense treaties with Iran, that they're obligated to defend Iran. That they're obligated, and China does too. And we had every chance to turn this all around. And I was hoping, get rid of Biden, who just wanted to, ostracize Russia, call them a world pariah. Same with China, same with Iran. Make enemies. What is it with this time we're going through right now? Like everybody wants to fight. Like everybody wants to make more enemies, and fight and disagree. Why does everybody have to always fucking disagree with you? It gets old.
Yeah, that's because they're brainwashed projects. They're mind control.
Yeah,
they're mind controlled. Half the people took the vaccination, and that's how they're doing it, in my opinion. Like they jabbed them with some mRNA. It's terrifying that meat company is half Chinese or all Chinese owned, because guess what they're going to be doing to that meat? They're going to be injecting it, and then you're going to be consuming the mRNA that you didn't want to inject in yourself in the first place.
Yep. It's a kill program, man. Okay. Like it's still like, okay, here's what happened. Here's what happened. The Anunnaki enslaved us so that we could build up their, they pushed us into agriculture, then they pushed us into industrialism, then they pushed us into capitalism. Four different industrial revolutions. Here we are. So now everything's built. The bridges are built. The roads are built. The big stuff's built. The skyscrapers, the big stuff's built. That's what it takes young, strong men to do. And now, especially the men, especially the young men, are expendable. It's true, especially the men, and that's why. It's has nothing more to do with anything than that. Oh, then there's one other thing. If there's going to be an uprising against them, who would lead it? Probably the men. Yeah, there's going to be women, of course. Great, you're welcome. Come on, let's go. But that's part of our historical role as a man, is to defend our families. Okay, if you don't fucking like it, go fuck yourself. I don't care. I don't care if you don't like it, because that's true. And I'm a man, and I'm proud to be a fucking man. And I'm sick and tired of this bullshit and this culture about toxic masculinity. And you should feel bad to be a man, and especially if you're a white man. It's just like such horse shit.
It is horseshit.
It's horseshit. Oh, liberate yourself. Disagree with your husband every day. Yeah, see how far that fucking gets you, man.
Yeah.
It won't get you very far. It's not liberation. It's just disagreeability. It's just like
Tavistock Institute.
Destroying our relationships, destroying our families, setting each other against each other. And this is what they want. And so anyway, we're expendable now, big time. And pretty soon the women will be expendable too. But they need some secretaries and some people they can, tell what to do, and they won't talk back. And, managers. They need some managers still. So that's what they're going to use compliant women for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then they're going to kill us all slowly. But not before they make a shitload of money off us. And so that's what the COVID is. And so that's what the World War III scenario is looking like. And so it's all just shaping up. Because all the infrastructure is built, they enslaved us. They can handle it now. They got robots to handle it. They had to let our innovation run, especially in America, before they crushed America, because they knew that innovation would get them new, inventions and easier way to do things, and it did. And then they stole them all. Serco runs the patent office. Serco is that's SERCO. Capitals, all capitals, SERCO. Just Google that one and read that company history. It's pretty interesting. But that's the biggest crown corporation in the world, and they own.
I've heard of that.
And they're contracting everything all the time. But they contract. They run the patent office. So every time a good patent comes along, they steal it. They stole the patent to Facebook from a guy, Bill McKitt, that I know, and he had a company, and he had the exact idea, and they just stole it and called it Facebook. And the same day, DARPA stole it, the Defense Department, because that's who ran Facebook. DARPA, they called it LifeLock or LifeLog. That's it, LifeLog. They called it LifeLog. And the day DARPA shut down LifeLog is this very same day that Zuckerberg announced the startup of Facebook. So Facebook is a military operation. You should know that, and you should get off it immediately. And I can't believe people are still on it, but everybody is except me. So I don't exist. Like if somebody dies from my hometown, I don't hear about it, because they just assume you're on Facebook. That's the worst thing about it, is that you don't get called anymore because people are on Facebook. They're lazy. They just sit there and they talk to each other on Facebook. They talk to people they don't even care about, really, because it's easy.
Because I call it fake book. I call it fake book.
Yep, that's what it is, and it's creating fake people. Just like the phones. It's creating phony people on their phones all the time. They're phony people. They're not real anymore. They don't have a soul anymore. They don't have a heart. They don't have a brain. They're phony. They're just a shell. They're just a fucking zombie.
Yeah. How many times have you walked into a restaurant, for the listeners, and watched a couple at a restaurant sit there looking at their phones? They're not having a conversation. They're not engaging with each other. They're not looking each other in the eyes. They're literally with their faces in their phone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's destroying our culture, because it's disconnecting people from each other, not connecting people. Guess what? They lied. Of course they did. They lie about everything, remember?
Yeah.
So that's
this is all.
They said it would connect us. It's disconnecting us. It's isolating us from everyone.
Yep.
And that's the plan, Stan. And that's why there's so many suicides and so many people are depressed. And it's because they're isolated. People feel isolated. Yep. As much as they try, as much as they turn on their phone, hoping that people will call, they never fucking do, because they're all on Facebook.
Yep.
and then they blame themselves. Oh, what did I do wrong? And it's just so tragic. It's just tragic.
Yeah.
It's sad. It is. It's sad. But you just, yeah. I mean, I don't even look, man. I go out to eat. I go out. I don't even bring my phone. My phone. I got a track phone from Walmart. It cost me $24. I pay $15 a month for a card, and it's off. And
Yeah.
it's not in my name. It's and all that stuff. It's just. But yeah, I mean, it's that's what's happening. People are just on their foot, and then they compete, and then they're competing, and then they're shopping and competing and shopping, and it's all about competition. See, because part of the Anunnaki Masonic cult is definitely this hyper capitalism, where God forbid we cooperate on anything.
Yeah.
You can't have that. I mean, I'm kind of like, as far as like my political economic views, I'm a mixed economy guy. Okay, like I think some things should be private and some things should be public, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, if you say that, it's just people just gloss over, because most people think communism and socialism, that's just pure evil. But then again, you have the post office. What do you call that? I mean, what do you call the National Guard? What do you call the cops? What do you call fire department? Isn't that socialism? What do you call public schools? Isn't that socialism? Public library, public trails, national forest. It's all socialism. But they won't admit it because, I don't know, Alex Jones might spank their little butt or something. It's like, I don't know, grow the fuck up. Just grow the fuck up. A mixed economy, a little bit of everything, a little bit of capitalism, let them run, let them sell ice cream on the corner. But as far as like a mining cartel owning all my gold, I don't think so. As far as 4 oil companies own all the oil, or 4 banks own all the Federal Reserve, probably not in favor of that.
Correct.
So if you want to call me a communist, yeah, good luck with that, man. Good luck with that. But people just got to grow up, because all this, like, it's just not the real world.
It's not. It's
but
fake.
see,
This is all by
everything's
design.
everything's getting pushed to the right, to the capitalist way. Everything has to have money in it to even be worth anything, right? Nothing has intrinsic value, right? It's just, it has to be worth something money-wise, right? And that's the kind of world they want, because that's who they are. That's who these Masonic Satanists are. They really don't have values. They don't believe in good. They don't believe in doing good things. They believe in eating as much as they can in this life, drinking as much as they can in this life, hopefully on somebody else's nickel, right?
Yeah.
That's what they believe in. Yeah. And having a big old house and maybe a butler and a maid, a bunch of, like, they'd have slaves if you let them, of course. They were the ones that started slavery. But they don't believe in any values or any, they don't even ponder it. They don't even like I grew up in, pretty good family. They taught me right and wrong. I'm lucky. And you get out in the world and you just realize how many people didn't even get that basic stuff, like right and wrong.
Right.
We didn't even get it because I don't know, maybe their parents were Freemasons. They didn't give a shit. I don't know. But most people, I mean, it's just sad. It's like they don't care about anything. No, it's just all about instant gratification. Eat, fuck, drink, I don't know, whatever. Go on your bucket list fucking vacation, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing for anything good. Nothing. There's nothing. It's like, it's just wrong. Okay. It's incorrect.
Yeah.
This is the thing. This is going to get you a really unhappy life if you think this way, because on the outside, you might think these people got it made, but on the inside, no, they don't, because they don't even understand the nature of reality, which is really the biggest problem we're facing here. People do not understand the nature of reality. And the nature of reality is like the Aurora Boreas, man. It's a circle. Everything's a circle. Everything's a circle. So if you did something in the circle and you come around, it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
You're going to meet it again. It's not a straight line. It's not like you can just do people wrong and just keep going. Maybe you can for a while. If you're rich and powerful, maybe you can do it till you even die. But then what happens?
It'll still come back, though. It's called karma. And
karma,
these people,
exactly.
these people
That's
have
nature
karmic debt big time coming for them.
That's it. And that's the nature of reality. And also just the fact that why are we here? And the Indians, what I've learned from the Native American, not just Native American, but Native people all over the world, because I've lived with Native people all over the world. I've been with Native people in Burma. I've been with Native people in wherever, man, like Guatemala or Nepal or just all over the world. I've made a conscious effort when I travel to go and find Native people because they make so much sense to me. Because I grew up with Lakota people here in South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, that just resonated. And it's about reciprocity and relationships. Okay. That's what life is about.
Yes.
That's those two things, man. It's just like, you reciprocate, and you keep that relationship healthy, and it's really, even that's really the same thing. But that's not capitalism. Okay. It's clearly not capitalism. There's no money in that.
Right.
Although actually there might be in some instances, because the relationship, right? But it doesn't have to be. I mean, it's not like, money's evil, money's just neutral, money's just whatever, but it's just, as long as you're not sucking up to people, it's okay to make a little money. If you're doing the right thing. But
Right.
that shouldn't be like your goal, like why you're here, right? That shouldn't be like, but for most people, it is, sadly, because that's what the Masonic Satanists tell them that they should value, that they should strive for, they should do. Keep your head down, make a bunch of money. But if you're going to do the right thing in this world, there's no way to keep your head down. You have to shout out that these things exist, and you have to shout out that there's injustice, and you have to be against it. You go back 8,500 years ago, they forced in agriculture, they forced in industrialism, forward industrial revolution, capitalism. They created slavery. They created slavery. The Royal Africa Company controlled 95% of slave trade. The one shareholder in that was King James, the guy that wrote the Bible, King James Bible. Biggest slaver ever. They created the genocide of the indigenous people everywhere, not just in America, but everywhere. They genocided indigenous people everywhere. They're still genociding indigenous people everywhere. Still stealing their land. Still running methamphetamine into the Pine Ridge Reservation. Still selling them liquor at every street corner they can to keep them drunk and lead them astray. And they're still doing it. And it's nothing's really getting better that way. I mean, the Indians are still the smartest people, and the traditionals are. I mean, you meet some of them and they'll blow your mind. And they've taught me everything I need to know about everything. But really, it's just that's the remnant that's gonna, I think, survive. I mean, I think that there's always a remnant. I think after the dinosaurs, all that stuff, the Great Flood, the Ice Age, whatever. There's been times before when the whole world has just been kind of
reset,
and there's always a remnant. I think maybe this time it was the Lakota and maybe the Aborigines in Australia, because they're really smart too. But like the Aborigines say, like when the rocks and stones go in the ground, that's when it's that's when it's over. And that's they just mean like, yeah, man, it's probably coming again. And if we don't straighten out, I think God's given us a chance, because I believe in a loving creator that gives you every single chance, doesn't give up on you. And God, but you just, how many people? I mean, people just they're not waking up fast enough. There's some of them are waking up, but I just feel like not enough. And I feel like it's probably going to come down to that, which is probably why there's been a lot of aurora borealis like sightings in the northern hemisphere, all the way down to like pretty far south, because that's solar flare activity, and that could be what happens. Is just a solar flare goes off and everything goes dark. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be allowed to go on much longer. And if somebody doesn't stop Israel, and if somebody doesn't stop Trump, if somebody doesn't stop America and all its, the crown, the city of London, if somebody doesn't just stop that pretty soon, I'm thinking, it's going to go bye-bye. And then there's going to be a remnant, and it'll be the smartest people, and God will just try again and give us another chance, I suppose. But that's kind of the way I see things, So it doesn't really matter, like, if we win or lose on this earth. Just remember that. Like, we're probably going to lose. I mean, to the naked eye, we're probably going to lose. Or, on a surface level, we're probably going to lose. But all this stuff that we're doing is important, because it's just, we have to defend the truth. We have to defend life. We have to defend love. We have to shout down evil and hate and all this stuff. And we just do. And if we lose and if we all die, then, okay, whatever. I'm not planning to go to heaven. Okay. That's not my big plan here. I don't have a big plan. I don't know what even happens when you die. I just know that there's a right way to live and there's a wrong way to live.
Correct.
Because nature tells me so.
Nature. Thank you. Because they didn't say, you need to go into this church and worship me.
No, man.
Never. Organized religion was created to control the masses. Do you want to know where I go and connect with source energy and universal intelligence? nature. I
Exactly.
go to the ocean. I put my feet in the ocean. I
Exactly.
go out and hug a tree, whatever.
Exactly.
Ground yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you were cutting lettuce out of your garden when I called you before the
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
That's what we should be doing.
Yeah, that's what we should be doing, and that keeps us human. That keeps us human because the whole goal, like I said, it's an assimilation project. It's just like they did with the Indians, right? They, they couldn't really defeat them, so they assimilated them.
Yeah.
With the reservation system, with the commodities, with changing food, that they assimilate them into white culture, and hopefully they'll just shut up and go away and kind of become more like us. Well, that's what the Satanists are doing to us now.
Yes.
We're all Indians now, man. We're all Indians
That's correct.
now. And they want us in their cult. So they want to assimilate us into their satanic cult. So we can't have any of this do-gooder stuff. We can't have any people helping each other. We can't have any Medicaid for people, for example, anymore. It has to go away. And we can't have any compassion. And we have to think like everybody else. And we have to, just in terms of possessions and things and money and stuff and surface and and that's why people are losing their way, because that's just being pounded into people right now, and they're trying to assimilate enough people, again, enough humans into the Anunnaki cult that I don't know what, maybe they're planning something big. I don't know. I think they're planning to definitely they want to kill most of us, and then I think they're gonna like do some interbreeding stuff too, where
they're already inbred. It's funny that you
they're already inbred. I love
inbred.
inbreeding, right? So that's one thing they can relate to is inbreeding.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. It's just don't get assimilated into the cult, man. And yeah, exactly right. What Kimberly said, just go outside, man, and just go out to nature. Because like my cat, you can't, and you have cats, I see, and see that gives you a leg up having cats, right? Because it does, because they're never fooled, right? They're never fooled by these snake oil people that come around and tell you they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and they're Mother Teresa and they're such great people, and then they fucking slit your throat or whatever. My dogs and cats always told me who was what and what was who, and they sorted through that stuff, and they taught me things, and that again, nature. And so you have to have a healthy distrust of humans right now, because you don't know who's who and you don't know if they're even human anymore.
Correct.
But the main thing is just stay human.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? You don't have to convert anybody. It's not your job to go out and turn everybody into whatever, people that know about this stuff. I mean, I sure hope they do. I sure hope.
Right. I hope so.
About kings, and I sure hope we can take down the kings, but it's not your job either. And your job is to stay human. Your job is just to stay human. And I struggle with that too, because I watch the TV and I get mad. I should just turn the damn thing off. Who cares? You know what I mean?
It pisses you off, though. It does.
Of course,
I
and
understand.
it should, but it's also, then it can turn you into an angry person, and that's what you don't want to do. So it's like, it's tough. You got to really, you got to do it in doses. And if you err on the side of anything, you got to err on the side of just, just being a loving, gentle, compassionate person. That's all.
Yeah.
Which, we're all trying to be. Well, not all of us.
Right. Yeah.
But,
I'm optimistic. I'm hoping it's at least 50% of us that see, the circus that's going down right now. And
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
I
so.
always have to carry hope in my heart, because if not,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Bob Dylan said, man, in that song, Bob Dylan song, he's like, hope's just a word around some wide angled curve that, maybe you or whatever. But then he's about faith, faith, that's what you need, and you need it bad. And to me, it's like beyond hope. It's like you got to have faith. You got to, because hope's just kind of maybe to me.
Yeah, that's true.
But faith is like it's a rock. It's like if you just know that creation is where it's at, and this other stuff is inverted and it's wrong, and that creator created that creation. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful portrait, tapestry. Everything fits together out there in nature. Everything fits together.
Yeah.
Everything is there we need. We don't have to scramble. We don't have to have grocery stores. We don't have to have things we have. We can just go and eat, drink, and we have everything we need. We have shelter. We have everything we need. But we don't see it because, again, we're in the satanic, capitalist, Masonic system. But if you have that faith, man, and you know that in the end, good is going to prevail,
Yes.
And I have that. So I can talk a lot of shit to people. I can call them out. I can say, hey, you're fucking stupid. I don't mean it, I don't mean nothing bad, but I'm a shock therapist. I'm trying to shock people out of their
Coma.
stupid.
Their comas. Yeah.
Their comas, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I don't really mean it because I really have this faith, this underlying faith that to me means that it doesn't really matter what any of you do. Okay. You can do whatever you want. I just know that what's going to happen is going to happen. I just know. And it's not going to require us to recruit even 50% or anything. It's just going to happen. God's going to make it's going to happen.
Yeah.
The good is going to
Yes.
win. It's just how much suffering are we going to go through because we're too stupid to wake up. And again,
Correct.
it's like karma.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. It's just like to the extent we don't wake up, we suffer. That's karma. It's a really Buddhist approach. And they had a lot of things right, sure. And the Buddhists and Indians had a lot of things right. The Native Americans and the Buddhists were very similar in many ways. And there's no organized religion there with Buddhism either. It's an understanding, it's a philosophy. It's a pretty good one. You don't have to whatever be an avowed Buddhist or anything.
Yeah.
Which is the nice thing about it. You
Right.
have to go up to people and hobnob with them after the big golden church ceremony and tell them how important you are or whatever. But it's I just have that faith. I just have that bedrock faith that it's going to be okay. But is it going to be okay in our time? I don't know. Is it going to be okay
Right.
for you guys and me? I don't know.
All right.
Tomorrow we're all gone. I don't know that. I just know it's going to be okay in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Because it always has been.
Love-
This Earth's been here for billions of freaking years, and it doesn't need us. It doesn't need this kind of chaos. It could do without us just fine. And if maybe pretty soon, if we don't start figuring it out, that's what'll happen. God will just say, "Oh, well, no more humans. We'll just keep everything else, but not the humans." I don't know. It's up to him. It's not up to me.
Can I show you something that God made? The
Yeah.
spirit, universal intelligence. I call it source energy, universal intelligence. Maybe
Good one. Yep.
I'm going to show you.
Okay.
While she's doing that, I know that we are coming up after the
There you
hour.
go.
So
Beautiful.
look at her, baby kitty.
Oh, you got
Did
some
anybody
baby
have
kitties.
any? Yes, she
That's so
does.
cool.
Does anybody have any questions before we say thank you and goodbye to Dean? Does anybody have anything you want to ask or bring up or mention? All right. I think that, Dean, you have blown our minds just like you did in your interview with, for the summit. So thank you so much for joining us today, for taking the time, and happy belated birthday.
Yes.
He had his birthday 2 days ago. But last chance, if anybody has anything, raise your hand, put it in the chat. Otherwise, we are going to let you go, Mr. Henderson.
Okay, shoot me a link, Kimberly or Erica, whichever, and I'll put it on my Substack.
Yes,
I like
please.
that last one a lot, so I think they'll like this one too. So thanks so much for having me, and thanks so much for being light in the world of darkness. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for being
Thank
light as
you.
well. And this one too. Say bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm sorry, I have your baby right here.